Hi everyone, and welcome to Club Live here at Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. We are live as always on YouTube tonight, so get your comments in. We'll maybe do the best to answer a few questions along the way. If we'll see how we get on. Before I introduce my two guests tonight, we have a live show which you would have all seen flashed up before. We had to postpone, as Carney has said, from Friday the 16th, and you'll see down the bottom there, to Saturday the 17th of January, which may suit people better because it's a Saturday. So it's on Saturday. Tickets are going very well for us so far. As Scotia knows, the Viceroy is quite a small pub. So I know there's a few tickets left, but not many. So if you are wanting to come, and I know I've spoken to a few people this week that are saying they are coming, I would get your tickets quickly before it sells out. We don't have any room for anyone. So yes, we're looking forward to that. And if you scan the QR code in the top left-hand corner, I think that'll take the link to buy a ticket. And it'll be well worth it. You'll get to see Scotia, which is the main event, Ross, Carney, and myself. So yes, we are all looking forward to it. But yes, I am back myself. I've been away on holiday for the last couple of weeks. Feel a bit rusty being on. I don't even know the last time I was on. I think it was Dundee United post-match I was on, I think, with Carney. Unfortunately, Mr. Carney is doing family things tonight, so it is the three of us tonight. But first of all, the main man himself, Scotia. How are you tonight, Scotia? And that is a cracking Christmas jumper you have on. Very festive.
Need to get in the festive spirit. Christmas is almost upon us, Ali. Yes, good evening, Alec. Good evening, Ross, and good evening, everyone. I'm doing all right. How's things with everyone else?
Yeah, well, as you know, Scotia, I get taken by the dreaded flu halfway through my holiday, which was not great. I had to battle through. Came back from holiday. I've had my flat tiled while I was away. I've got a new couch, a new dining room table that was delivered during the week as well. So it's been all go. I need to give actually a shout out to the guys that delivered the couch. One of them does listen to the podcast, Craig, Dale, and Bod, who delivered the couch. I feel for them because I had to carry it up 3 flights of stairs. But they did well. So no, good. Well done to the lads. And last but not least, Ross, how are you this fine Friday? I take it the cold and the flu hasn't taken you yet. You're young though, so you could battle through it.
I've not met. I've had the Lemsips are on hand. They are on hand and they are being consumed. It is dangerous out there, folks. Masks on, etc. Just you know what to do. But no, we are looking forward to a very very interesting discussion tonight. This week, we've obviously seen what's been happening over. Let's just say what's been happening in the league, and battle fever is on, gents. Battle fever is on. This next few weeks is going to be potentially a bit turbulent. So let's get into it. There's plenty to talk about.
It's good to see Launch Island's watching the podcast tonight, Scotia. He's donated $9.99. Thanks very much, Launch Island. To be fair, I know the guy that is under Shankland does watch the podcast. He's a Hearts fan as well. So yes, best team winning on Sunday. I do agree. I've not actually looked at the odds for Sunday. No, we'll get into it, but I would assume Hearts are probably favourites over us. But yes, much appreciated, and we'll see what Thomas. Here we go, Thomas. Thanks. Well, much appreciated, Thomas, and we'll see what happens on Sunday. But I hope your team get pumped. But aye, moving on. Yes, we weren't going to touch about the Hibs game, obviously, because Carney covered it with Stevie on Tuesday night there, and it was away back Monday as well. So we'll kind of leave the Hibs game, but Scotia Danny Rohl, he's been in Europe aside, which we'll keep to the side. In the league so far, I think we talked about him before I went on holiday myself. You and Carney, and we kind of scored them out of 10 and what we thought. We're further down the line now in the league so far. He is 1-6 drawn 2. What's your thoughts on Danny Rohl now, a few weeks down the line after we talked about it? Since then, I think we've had a couple of draws in there as well too. But so far, so good for me with Danny Rohl, with that group of players he's got to work with, Scotia, because he's been hit with a lot of injuries, and the group of players isn't great. But in a weird, bizarre way, we are actually in a title race. And I know Celtic are imploding on the other side of the city, which is helping, but I never thought the title was on it. Months ago, I would have said it was done and dusted, Scotia, and we are back in a title race. But what's your thoughts on Danny Rohl and his record in the league so far?
Yeah, in the league, it's been very good. I think when we spoke about it last time, I'm trying to remember, I think I maybe gave him a 6.5 out of 10, I think. Maybe slightly, now that we're a couple of weeks down the line, I'd maybe push that up towards a 7, particularly the league. If we're just focusing on the league here, up to a 7. Because like you say, he's had to contend with quite a few injuries following the last international break, where he's been bereft of some of his better players having to use sort of third, fourth choices at times, and we've managed to come through it relatively unscathed. There was that couple wee period with Falkirk and Dundee United where we drew. It was pretty disappointing, and it was obviously a very, very poor performance. It's at the Falkirk game that was just nothing to the game really. Yeah. So in the league, I really think he's doing well. He's getting the best out of the players that he's got there. There are things that I think do better. I think there's some players just going through bad patches of form slightly at the minute that if they come up to things, it could help improve us. And like you say, I think, yes, we probably do have a title race on our hands now. I think it helped. Hearts went through a wee period where they were dropping a few points that sort of stalled their momentum. It does look like they've sort of got over that, but we'll wait to see. Ultimately, it'll come down to, I know we'll talk about it later, but it'll probably come down to the games over the Christmas period, early January. That's kind of really going to confirm if that'll be the case or not. But I've been pleased with Rohl since he came in. I mean, prior to him coming in, it was 1 win, 7 draws and 1 defeat, I think, in the league we were on prior to him coming in. So I think I've seen something earlier in the week about like the form of the club since Rohl's came in. I'm fairly certain we're possibly top of that. Maybe Aberdeen are up and about there as well in terms of in the period since Rohl came in. We're certainly number 1 or number 2. I know that much. And to be honest, where we were under Martin, I didn't really see that happening. So all the credit does need to go to Danny Rohl for that. And like you say, he's doing this with a squad that's not the best, and a squad that's ravaged by injury at points there, when all the sort of players that we would want to be seen playing couldn't. But no, I've been pretty impressed with him so far.
Yeah, Ross, like I say, we sat here months ago when Russell Martin was in charge, even with Danny Rohl came in, and I said the league was done for me. It was done, and bizarrely, and you have to look across the other side of the city. You've got to, because one of our challengers along with Hearts, and then they've dropped. I think when Martin O'Neill, I actually seen this, I think today, when Martin O'Neill left Celtic, they were 10 points clear of Rangers or something like that, 9 or 10 points clear of Rangers. And in the space of a few weeks, we are now 3 points behind Celtic, which is frightening, to be honest, in terms of where we've been at this season, because we have been absolutely woeful. And to be in contention for a title race, I honestly can't believe we're there. We'll probably go into it later on. Do I have the confidence this Rangers team can go and kick on and do something? Probably not, to be honest, because that's what they are. It is a bit of a basket case of a season. I think whoever wins the league this season will probably win it with the lowest points total ever. But in Danny Rohl, I like him. He takes each game at a time. He looks at the opponent he's playing. I know Nancy on the other side of the city has a lot of sound bites similar to Russell Martin in terms of it's not all about winning, it's about performances, etc. No, it's about winning football games. I mean, we know that under Russell Martin. And Danny Rohl's come in and he's identified, maybe no pretty 8 times, but as long as we win games of football, I'll be honest, I don't care. What's your thoughts so far on him?
Yeah, I think that was one of the first things that he said when he was in the door, is just about winning. That was so refreshing to hear that straight off the bat. And it sounds like he's fully bought into it. Even you hear him today, and he sounds like a guy who, even when he's talking about looking at his players, he's looking for players. Can they handle the pressure? Can they handle Rangers? I think this is a guy who genuinely, he's taken like a bit of a duck to water to life at Rangers in terms of understanding the culture and what it's all about. So definitely, I'm a big fan of him. Obviously, the blips so far, if you were to look, obviously the successes, the 6 wins from the 8 there, with those 2 disappointing draws in the league, very, very happy. Yes, performances haven't been ideal, but the results are all that matters. ultimately, you would probably look at, say, Europe aside, yes, obviously, that's not been disappointing. He did have that cup final that obviously I know that the players have a lot to do with it, and obviously down to 10 men, etc. I think he's yet to win a big game, if that makes sense. He's yet to have that kind of statement game for Rangers. Like the closest thing probably to it, that game up at Easter Road, I think was a pretty decent win. But other than that,
I
he's
know one
yet
at
to have.
Ibrox, I would say. I know one at Ibrox against Hibs, I would say was
Yeah,
probably a big one.
true. Yeah. So there has been those wee moments there, but I think as a Rangers manager, you're always going to be judged on, especially old firms. And we've got one coming up at the turn of the year that will be very, very telling, not only for probably where Danny Rohl's out of the team just now, but also potentially where the league's going to go at the end of the day. So I think the report card for me is very, very positive, 100%. But I think as all Rangers fans, once that first Old Firm wins out the way, I think that's when when fans will really, really start to go, right, he's cemented himself as a Rangers manager. So a lot to be said for him. And I just hope that he gets the backing that he deserves in January, because he's shown that in a short window of time he can get a good tune out of the players that he has.
Yeah, no, January will be massive in terms of who we can potentially bring in and what players can we maybe get back for injury as well. Scotia, he's been, I mean, we've talked about the set of players he's had to work with, which isn't great, but also injuries have impacted us this season again, and we've been absolutely bluttered in the back line. As much as these guys maybe aren't good enough to play for Rangers, and I think we need better than what they are. John Suter and Cornelius are probably a big miss for us at the present point. Maybe Suter even more. I mean, I personally don't think the two of them are good enough week in, week out for Rangers, but at the present moment, there probably are better defenders, and we don't have them. Big Giga, as much as folk think he's a diddy, probably our third choice centre half is away at the African Cup of Nations, so he won't be there. So you're looking at a back line, Scotia, of Fernandez, Inciala, who we've seen play against Hibs on the Monday, and Sterling probably. What's your thoughts on the back line, Scotia? I know you're a defender at heart, but the back line, and we'll come on to Hearts, but he played three at the back against Hibs. Do you think he'll continue that against Hearts away at Tynecastle? Just the way the back line is.
Yeah, I didn't listen to the press conference today. I've not read anything about it, so I don't know what their injuries are.
The only injuries, Scotia, is what's his chops? Lyle Cameron's out, but he's not played for us, and Miovski's a doubt. So that was the only ones he said.
Aye, so I was thinking about this when I was thinking of what I was going to select for my team this evening, and given the fact that he played with the sort of three central defenders, or three in the centre of the defence on Monday night there, I think he probably will kind of load the defence up a wee bit, just where we are with things, because like you say, if Miovski and Cameron are both out, then that means that you've got one of Chermiti or Danilo playing up front at the weekend, upcoming. So we lack a bit of goal threat up front, and yeah, so I don't want to get too far ahead and start talking about that game, because I know we'll talk about it towards the end of the pod. But the defence in itself, I think I kind of get concerned about it, not in terms of because I hadn't seen them play properly yet, but like right at the start when you look at it and then you realise, wait a minute, all these defenders are either loan players or they're coming to the end of their contract this year. The injuries have not helped that. Missing Suter, I see someone in the comments said there we've probably been getting more clean. We have been getting more clean sheets since Suter's been out, but I don't know if that's more symptomatic of the way that Russell Martin was trying to play when Suter was in the team. I think if we had Suter in defence just now, we would certainly add a wee bit more kind of solidity. And I think you can still see at the moment when the central defenders play with each other, they're still not entirely sure how each other plays, because we've had to chop and change it so much at the moment. So the defence is a kind of worry, but Giga being out, you're looking at Fernandez, you're looking at Inciala and Sterling, Inciala and Sterling obviously not either, in Inciala's case, not played very much at all this season, and Sterling just coming back from injury again. So it's it's going to be difficult, particularly given the run of games we've got with that and the defenders we've got available.
Yeah, Ross, the back line's extremely worrying. I mean, a Monday night against, I don't know if you've seen the game against Hibs on Monday night, but where you've got Big Giga and Fernandez at the back, and the two of them aren't good enough, basically. Fernandez is a threat in the opposition box. He scored 2 goals for us now, but he has moments at the back where he switches off, and he's bullied quite easily for me for a guy of his stature. He is good in the air, I'll give him that, in terms of just if you launch balls, he will win balls in the air, but on the deck, he's a bit dodgy for me. But it was good to see Sterling come back into the team. A lot of folks said maybe it was too early for him to play against a Hibs team, but it was good for him to get minutes. I mean, we need guys like him. He's got physicality, which we lack as a team. But what's your thoughts on the back line? And obviously, Giga is away at the African Cup of Nations. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, all the best though, lad. I'm sure. To be fair, the tournament itself looks like it's going to be pretty decent. So I hope to see him representing his country well. And I just hope he doesn't get injured, because that'll be another one on the injury list. It's always a risk whenever players got an international break. Always make sure to make sure they've not got that wee injured sign beside their name. But the back line as a whole, we've been coming back to it so many times, mate. At the end of the season, a lot of those players will not be there because ultimately the lone players, as you say, Giga, Aarons, Magoma, etc. We are very, very light there. I do hope that, as much as we need attacking recruits in January, yes, but we are a few injuries away in January also from being an absolute defensive disaster. So as much as it's always, yes, stereotypically a tricky window, I'd be looking to get 1, maybe 2 defenders in January, definitely, just to solid up the defence. And also because Daniel's made it clear that 2 players in each position, that's what we're after. If somebody gets injured, or even like for like, you want somebody who can go in and chop and change. Just now, if you look at it, do we have it? Yes, I know you've got Aarons and Tav, they can kind of alternate between each other. Obviously, the back 4 is kind of similar, even if you look at the likes of Inciala and Fernandez, is kind of that younger profile. There's similarities there. Left back, nobody, absolutely nobody. Max Aarons, yes, but in terms of the actual left back, there's nobody there. So the back line in itself does need a big bit of investment, that's for sure. What I will say though is that, as much as yes, Giga being out is a bit concerning, we'll use it as a chance for Inciala. At the end of the day, Inciala's our player. Like, he's one of the only players that we have in terms of at the back line. So we need to eventually see what he's all about. I do think he wasn't treated great under Russell Martin. I was a fan of him before kind of Russell Martin came in, and I did find it a bit of a shame to see him get papped out. So I think while Giga's out, let the guy play some football and see what he's all about. A big chance on Sunday. If he can put in a good performance against Hearts, should they get the start, then all can go well from there. But I think definitely it's screaming out for some defensive recruits, because all it is one injury, mate, and you'll have Liam Kelly at left back, and I don't think my ticker can take that. So definitely some recruits are needed come January.
Yeah, no, we are needing surgery in that back line, especially because we don't know when Suter and Cornelius are going to be back. I mean, on that back line, Scotia, just looking ahead to next season, who at that back line would you seriously keep, including the loan guys? Would you take the loan guys up an option to buy in terms of the ones we've got in the back line? And John Suter, would you offer him a new contract next season?
In terms of the option to buy, I've not seen enough of Cornelius, to be honest. And I've not seen enough good performances from Cornelius to make me kind of hit that button there. I wouldn't be having Giga. I just don't think he's disappointed. He's disappointed. No, he's been. I can see some things he's getting slightly better at, but he's still I wouldn't be triggering any buy fee, because, like you say there, we need better than that. And this is kind of where I'll maybe contradict myself slightly. I agree with you that we do need an upgrade in terms of Suter as a central defender. We do need that. But I'm still kind of the opinion that I see that there have been more pros in offering him an extension for another year or so, in terms of he ticks the Scottish player quota thing for Europe. He's been at the club. I know he's got a mistake in him here and there, but more often than not, he's fairly solid. Yes, he is injury prone, but given the fact that it's going to be a completely new backline, barring Ciala, I would maybe be looking. I can see more advantages of keeping Suter around for a while, but obviously I would still be looking for it, particularly in the summer, for us to be going for better quality first team sort of picks in that regard. In terms of the other loan signings, Aaron's not for me. He's again getting slightly better at times, but there's still. I turned to you on Monday night, and I'll discuss it later on. But he doesn't have it for me in terms of how we're wanting to be playing with a right back in that position. I don't think it's his natural game and how we want to play. And he slows things down for me a wee bit too much when he's playing as a right wing back. Magoma, Magoma's been probably one of the defenders that's probably played more consistently well than anyone else throughout the season so far. But again, I would be looking to improve there in that position if we can. But it's an awful lot to improve on. So it's maybe because Magoma, I don't think we'll have any chance of buying Magoma. I don't think he's an option to buy. That would have to be another loan deal if you were going to keep him around. But it is concerning because obviously at the minute there's too many bits of our team that we need to improve quickly rather than it maybe just being one issue, just because of the way the recruitment has been this summer. So it's one of these ones that, yes, we all want it to happen in the summer, even January, but in all likelihood it won't. It will take a good few transfer windows before we rectify all the mess that get made this summer.
Yeah. Ross, what's your thoughts on the back line as we're talking about there in terms of the guys on loan? Suter, do you offer him a new deal, etc.? Tav as well. I don't know if you were on when we all talked about. I think you did say you would give Tav a new deal actually. But what's your thoughts on the guys at the back? Is there guys you would potentially keep or look to keep for next season? And then moving into the next kind of segment of the podcast was Beyonbe, I think that's how you pronounce it, has been appointed as a football consultant for the next 6 months for Rangers in terms of potential transfers coming to Rangers. One of his first jobs, so I'm sure, will be to identify defenders for Rangers, a left back and at least one centre half, if not two.
Oh, it needs to be. Absolutely needs to be. Yeah, I think the only loan player that I'd have a think about is Magoma, but I think with the big fee, at least from Brentford, isn't he? That you're paying a big fee for.
I think they paid 10 million for him, for Magoma.
Yeah, that's way out of price, especially for a lad of 19. So I think I'd take him if the fee was a bit lower. All the best to him when it does eventually move on. But I'll enjoy him while it lasts. I think he's actually been pretty decent. For the rest of them, mate, nah, not for me. If anything, I'd actually be looking at some of them and maybe saying, can we send them back early? Genuinely, can we even can you bring in other loan players? Should it be in January? I know that doesn't fix the problem of there not being any defenders at the end of the season, but in terms of kind of upgrading what we already have, I wouldn't be keeping as players. The one guy I'm a bit disappointed in terms of Cornelius, because he was the one defender who did that option to buy, and I was hoping that I've been banging on about it for months. That Connor Goldson replacement, we've still not replaced it. I've been looking for this kind of figurehead CB number one is the tagline, that first centre back. We've not got that yet. So I hope that, I doubt there'll be anybody there in January. You never know. I think my wee brother said Kurt Zuma was linked with us. I don't know what the
lock your cat up, Scotia. Christ, Ryan's cat will be locked up.
It would be an absolute one for the papers, that's for sure. So yes, well, in terms of the players there, I don't think I'd take any of them. But I don't think we'd have that problem anyways, because there'd be a lot of cash. But in terms of now, help me, mate, in pronouncing this name again. I do apologise, folks. Bjornbe, is that the one? Bjornbe. There we are. Apologies. So yes, good bit of business, I think, for me. I think it looks around 6 months for the deal. So that's, it just comes in to help steady the ship a wee bit. a guy who's clearly got a lot of experience. He's been a sporting director previously at 2 clubs as well. So he does have that kind of backroom experience. So yes, one thing that I could hope for is that he doesn't in terms of the recruitment side, he doesn't rule out homegrown players. I think we've seen definitely this season that there's teams in the league that players, I'm not saying that are going to set the head alight at Rangers, but they could do a job for Rangers 100%. I think definitely defensively. I think comments in there, Gogic, etc. There'll be names out there, he's one of them. There's definitely talent out there, just players who, we use the term hammer throwers week in, week out, especially when you're playing the likes of a Kilmarnock, etc. Rangers could potentially be doing with one of them. As you're saying, Fernandez does sometimes maybe get bullied about a wee bit. I think it's the same with Max Aarons. I know that obviously you look at the figures of some of the guys, absolute brutes who played in like Kilmarnock, etc. I do think we could potentially be doing with some of that. It would also fit the quota as well. If that is the whole idea about John Souttar, that would potentially squash that if you can bring in other Scottish players as well. So I do hope that if he comes in, then the Scottish market is there. And as much as, yes, there'll be a potentially inflated fee, will we get what we pay for? Especially when you've seen the amount of money we've spent on players from overseas, from down south, that if you spent that money, maybe not even as much as that money, but on players that are in the league, what could it get you in return? So definitely I'd be looking to bring in some homegrown players. But all the best to him, for the 6 months that he's here. And yes, a left back and a centre back, please. That'd be nice.
Yeah, Scotia. It looks like he's only in for 6 months as we said, as a consultant. He's worked with Rosenborg before in Aras, is whatever. I don't know how you pronounce that out there. And the other link, obviously, who has a link to Rangers is Big Jig Lee McCulloch. Linked. I don't know if it's Kevin Thelwell's job, but he's been linked. I think he's working with Brighton at the moment, but he obviously knows what it means to play for Rangers. I'd assume he knows the calibre of player that we need at Ibrox. Ross talked about a guy there in Gogic, a guy that's bullied us for years. He's played for Hibs, St Mirren recently. I think he's played for, Dunfermline as well. But these teams, St Mirren's, etc., they don't have much money to work with, but they know how to fill their team with guys that have physicality. They maybe don't have the much skill, but they've got physicality, and you need physicality in this league, and that's something we badly miss in our Rangers team. But what's your thoughts on Bjornby, Scotia coming in, and Lee McCulloch potentially coming in? Do you think that could be a good thing for Rangers going forward in terms of looking for potential transfers?
Yeah, so the Bjornby one first. I was really pleased when I heard the news that that's what they were doing, that they were bringing in someone to help with recruitment in the sort of interim period while they sort out other things at the top of the board level in terms of sporting director, technical director, whatever you want to call it, and someone to replace Patrick Stewart as well. Because I was a wee bit worried that what would happen with the transfer window approaching in January, that they would panic, like I've seen us do in the past, and just get someone in without doing a proper kind of due diligence process to get them in and get them aligned. Because honestly, what I want to see happen is like the chief exec to come in first, and then the sporting director, and then kind of you go work the top down rather than working bottom up, because that could, to me, that just screams that it could lead to problems if they don't line up in the right philosophy and stuff and things like that. So I was quite pleased when I heard that we were doing something like this with Bjornby. I mean, I couldn't tell you what he's done post-career. The only thing I remember from is obviously just during the 90s when he was at Liverpool. But couldn't tell you how good a job he done at Rosenborg or Aarhus. But no, I was quite pleased to see that it was coming in. It helps rule out a wee bit there in that respect as well, because it'll be a busy January. We've got quite a lot of games, a lot of travelling, or not lots of travel, but travelling for Europe and stuff as well. So how much time would Rohl actually have to sit and do all this thing, what's needed for the surgery that's required for this team? Yeah, and then I think it was the day after the jig stuff, the rumour got announced. I've not really looked into this, so I don't know. Is it just a pure rumour speculation thing that someone's thrown out there, or is there any?
I don't know. I mean, there's a few folk running with it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so obviously he's done a wee bit of coaching, and then how long has he been at Brighton for now? A few years.
I don't know. Yeah. I know he's been working with them, and Brighton's one of the best teams probably in England in terms of recruiting players. So I mean, it's a good place to be.
Yeah, from the outside looking in, working for Brighton seems to be ticks an awful lot of right boxes for me. Obviously, Jig knows the club very well, and that's always good to have, but it's not a key thing to have, I don't think. But I think at Brighton, like you say, they've probably been one of the better run clubs down south for certainly the last 10 years or so. I think since they've always seemed to be doing quite well with their transfers and their youth academy and things like that. So that'd be an interesting one. It would be quite good to get someone like McCulloch in, because, like you say, he knows the club and stuff, but he knows the club from when he was working under Walter Smith, and like yourself and Ross were mentioned there in terms of looking at the Scottish market. Walter Smith was perfect for that, in terms of you'd have all these players, but you would have like what you would maybe say running the mill Scottish talent in the team.
Yeah.
Maybe not running the mill, maybe sort of top levels of the sort of Scottish talent pool in the team as well, that they could come in and play like a weekend game and do the job for you. I mean, you just need to think a few names off the top of your head, and like that's the type of players that we could be doing with, and something that we've probably not really managed to recreate since the 2010s and things. So both of them, yeah, if there's any truth to the Jig rumour, I am probably a wee bit more willing to accept that it is just a rumour. Because like I say, I think what they're going to do is get the top tiers filled first and work down, and by getting Bjornby in, they've kind of given themselves that kind of breathing space to do that, shall we say.
Yeah, Ross, I don't know if you remember much about Lee McCulloch in terms of your age. You maybe remember him in the banter years, but as Scotia mentioned, he was a player when Walter Smith come back, identified after Paul Le Guin in terms of we were quite weak as a team, and he brought guys that tried and trusted, if you want to say, that he knew would come in and do a job for Rangers at the time. Lee McCulloch was one of them. He brought in Davy Weir, Christian Daly, Ugo Egiog, players like that. Lee McCulloch was quite versatile for Rangers back in the days, where he would usually play kind of on the left sometimes, and we would play the big diagonal ball to him all the time. Later in his career, obviously, he dropped back and played kind of centre half for Rangers when we were in the lower leagues.
I think the only position McCulloch didn't play for was goalkeeper. Started as striker, and then went left wing, and slowly moved back as he got older.
Yeah, but we used to play that diagonal ball Scotia all the time to him, which worked for Rangers. And Walter Smith identified these type of players would win Rangers leagues, and these players come in and did win Rangers league titles. Maybe not glamorous signings, but they come in and they did the job for Rangers. So it's interesting that they're maybe looking at McCulloch in terms of he's got a wee track record at Brighton, etc. But what's your thoughts on and potentially maybe Lee McCulloch, a player of that mould, maybe coming into Rangers? And in terms of January, and it's a dodgy month, how many players are you expecting Rangers to bring in January?
Oh, there's a question. It depends. The greedy individual that I am would say 10, but the realistically side of it,
full new team.
Honestly, mate, if it's going, I'll take it. My Christmas list, if that's the first thing that's on it is new players. I think realistically for January, probably looking at around 3 or 4, maybe. I think it does depend on what the kind of investors see, because do they look at it in terms of, right, the league is potentially a bit more open. I can't believe I'm saying this, folks, but the league is potentially a bit more open. Does the new owners, do they stick or twist? Do they potentially invest in January, knowing that if you win the league, automatic Champions League qualification, there's your money right there? Do you look at it and go, right, okay, Hearts are sitting top, but maybe, there's scope for them to come back down again. The other side of the city, we'll see what happens. But there's a big chance for Rangers here. So if the board, I'm not don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's completely up to the board to take a hand out of their pocket. They've already gave us a lot of money, which I think is quite fair to say we threw away quite a fair bit of it. But if there's investment there, do they look at it and go speculate to accumulate, bring in decent players now, and potentially win a league title? So that could be the difference between even 3 or 4 players to potentially 5, 6, 7. So I do think it probably does depend a lot on what the board see, and if they see could this season be a success. So I would love for me to have my 9 or 10, but I think realistically, as things stand, 3 or 4 I'll take. And also players going out the door as well. Need to see how many players go out, because that could be, should a decent player go out? Should a Gassama go to out to Spain? That's another player needing filled on top of that 3 or 4. So we'll need to see what happens. It's getting to that exciting period. The rumours will be coming. They'll be coming thick and fast. So I look forward to plenty of that. On Lee McCulloch, yeah, it's a wee bit. I say a wee bit just before my time. I'll tell you what, gents, he was my first ever Rangers captain at a Rangers game, my first ever game, and it was Lee McCulloch was the captain on the day. So I can't say I've watched plenty of it. I was still a young lad watching WWE back in school. Before football, I was a WWE man. But Lee McCulloch was indeed the first captain of the Rangers for me. So yeah, it's one of these things. The phrase always goes, bring somebody in who knows what Rangers is about. Lee McCulloch's your guy. I think other similar positions, you maybe look at the likes of Stephen Davis. You've obviously seen when Barry Ferguson's came in. That kind of homegrown, that Rangers man. The sentiment between the fans, they have that wee bit of leeway there. So Lee McCulloch coming in would get that exact same leeway, and rightly so, because he's been a good bit for the club. So should he come in, brilliant. I didn't realise he was down at Brighton. That's a cracking gig, to be fair. So if he doesn't want to move away from there, because Brighton are a very, very decent team, as you said, very, very decent scouting there. But I do think if the job did come up at Rangers, then it's definitely an interesting one to take up if the offer was there. So it'd be more than welcome back up the road. And yes, but again, on the transfers, I think realistically 3 or 4, mate, for me is the realistic number just now.
Yeah, I agree in terms of the signings for January. I don't expect Rangers to bring in a lot of players. I don't think they can. And they need to get players out the door as well. I know Rothwell's probably going to be going down to the Championship in England. We'll probably get rid of him quite easily. Other players will be hard to get rid of. I actually did see Matondo in a bloody video the other day. He's still in Matondo. You've got Dowell, you've got Umpteen. Cifuentes, is he still there? I don't even know if he's still there. Cifuentes, I actually don't know what Cifuentes is. He's still contracted to Rangers. Cortez as well, is he coming back? So there's lots of them. But I agree, Ross. I think it'll be a maximum of 4, I reckon. And then I reckon the positions I'll look at will be centre half, left back, a 6 in the middle of the park, and probably a striker. Scotia, what's your thoughts on the dreaded January window in terms of what you think we may bring in?
Yeah, I reckon probably about 5, but I do see there's getting a few going out as well. So you're probably talking like about a net increase of maybe 3 players, I would say.
Yeah.
But we certainly need it, but pretty much what you've mentioned. If all was fine and rosy with Rangers, you know what I would be doing? I would be kind of starting to look at goalkeepers round about now. Not because Butland's been bad or anything, but I'm just forward planning. But we're nowhere near that stage yet because there's so much more we need to fix before we get to there. So yeah, certainly looking at central defenders, left back, and someone up front. Miovski seemed to be coming onto a game a wee bit, but it's difficult to judge when it was only 2-3 games that he seemed to be coming on to a game. That could have just been a flash in the pan. We won't know that now. But considering what else we've got up there at the minute, we definitely need to be looking at bringing in a striker.
Well, hopefully we can get rid of bloody Danilo or something on a loan deal, or if there's somebody out there for Danilo. He's the first one of the front 3.
Dowell's still kicking about, isn't he? We didn't get rid of Dowell in the summer.
He was on the bench. He was on the bench against Hibs on Monday, Scotia, because we had a laugh saying Christchurch so killed Dowell up here.
Dowell, Matondo, Rothwell.
Interestingly, you've still got
there's quite a few.
Yeah, you've got Ben Davies as well. He's at, I think, Oxford just now. He's still on loan. I
Davies.
was just having a look there. Cifuentes is at Toronto out on loan. So literally all these players are still in our books, gents. It is rather mental.
And that's before you even get into the players that are currently playing in the first team that we kind of spoke about before. You're like, say, Aaron's, Giga, you're terminating their loan deals short. Don't know, we'll need to wait and see.
Yeah, and I don't think it's as easy as just terminating a loan player's deal. I think if you do that, there'll be clauses in terms of Rangers.
There'll be financial implications.
There'll be fees. Yeah, there will be financial implications as well. They want to bite the bullet with some of that, but it's going to be interesting. But for me, Scotia, before we come to the Hearts and we'll preview the Hearts game, the next 4 games is massive in terms of this league title. We go to Tynecastle, obviously. 27th, we've got, Motherwell at Ibrox. The 30th, we've then got St Mirren at Ibrox. And then the big one at Parkhead against Celtic. These 4 games are key in terms of this title race, Scotia, and probably in terms of the business we may do in January too, because if we can come through these 4 games, you're in a title race, and that's when you need to bring in enforcements, because you've got a right big chance of potentially winning the league title. But what's your thoughts on these next 4 games, Scotia? As I would say, strap yourself in.
Yeah, I think I said a couple of weeks ago I was worried about them because, when you look at them on their own, it's games Rangers probably should win, but where we are at the moment and the squad we're playing with, it seemed like quite a tall order. We've managed to sort of navigate the first one. We've got 4 upcoming. I would go even further, Ali, and say that the following week, the 2 games that we play against Aberdeen. You can throw them into that equation as well. Yeah, the 2 Aberdeen games, because as I'd said earlier, Aberdeen, their form's picked up dramatically since the start of the season as well. So you can put them 2 in, and then at the end of that 6-game run, if we can come away with as maximum amount of points as possible, then I think we're sitting in a really nice, comfortable place in the league. But
do you see us doing it though?
Like I say, it's a struggle. To be honest, the way the Rohl's been approaching it, and it's the way kind of I'm trying to approach it, is it needs to be game by game, just tick them off as they come, and don't worry too much down the future about the Old Firm game in a couple of weeks' time. That'll when that comes around, it comes around. Just focusing on the game at hand.
Yeah, Ross, I agree with Scotia. We just need to focus on one game at a time and tick it off. The Hibs game was a big one for me at Ibrox there. We weren't great, but we navigated it. We showed a bit of grit for me as well, which I've not really seen in this Rangers team this season. Ultimately, we got the 3 points. I was talking to somebody at work today, and as bad as Celtic are, I just look at us, and I think Celtic fans forget how bad we are at times when they're having their own bin fire over there, but we've got a bin fire at our end as well, because I just don't have the confidence in the current squad to go on a winning run of winning 5, 6, 7, 8 games on the trot. I know Danny Rohl's come in and won 6, drawn 2. On paper, it is decent with that squad of players, but we've got a lot of big games coming. As Scotia mentioned, they put you those 6 games if you throw in the Aberdeen games as well. But I agree with Scotia. We need to take one game at a time, tick it off, and see where we are at that point. And whatever happens round about us in terms of Celtic, Hearts, whatever, that's a bonus for us. But as long as we can take care of ourselves and win, as I say, one game at a time, we'll see where we are after potentially these 6 games.
Oh, definitely. I mean, whenever you read out the names there, it's potentially as a league-defining run of games, especially if you win them all, because you look at those games on paper, and as much as, yes, Hearts away, tricky, Aberdeen, yes, I actually think for me, it's the Motherwell and St Mirren at home. I genuinely think they're trickier games than what it reads. Obviously,
good teams as well. They play good football, the 2 of them.
They do, definitely, especially recently. They've both been very good. Obviously, St Mirren lifting the cup. Sorry, Motherwell playing some decent football. So I'm looking at those games at home, and we cannot underestimate them at all. Not at all. I think Sunday's definitely, if you win on Sunday, it does put you in a bit of an optimistic mood and going, right, okay, if you can go away to Tynecastle, ultimately a team who the Old Firm haven't beat Hearts this season, have they not? I think they've yet to get a win
Hearts have
over
won all the
Hearts.
games.
Yeah, so that in itself, if you go away and I guess tarnish that record, then it's a great start. But as you say, it's about consistency, isn't it? It's just about one game, that next game at a time, and see where it takes you. I think ultimately, as much as yes, and we won't pander on the other side of the city for too long, because obviously it's all about the Rangers, it always will be. But I think for me, always need to look at what we are doing at the end of the day. Yes, they'll make drop points, etc. But I've also seen Celtic drop points, and then Rangers equally go and drop points. It almost seems to be a bit of a trend that whenever Celtic seem to drop, that we seem to follow suit. So I do think that as much as yes, they might lose at the weekend, we need to keep on our game, because this comes up to this, as I was saying earlier in the pod, kind of speaking about Danny Rowe winning these big games. These are the big games that it'll be defined on. If Celtic do drop points and then it's up to us to answer and we don't, these are the big moments that you'll look back and go, yeah, Danny Rowe has won these games, but whenever the big moments came, we didn't. So I think we all need to look at these next games, and if we win them, don't underestimate it, because the pressure will be on. It is on, because there's a definite title on our hands. Should we do things in the right way? So a big rambled answer to say I'm rather excited for the next few games. Just generally, if things go our way, we've got a very, very exciting January coming up, and I just hope that it stays that way and that the optimism is flowing through the podcast.
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm looking forward to it, Ross, but God, I don't think my heart will be able to take it going forward until the next 6 games in terms of what's coming up. I'll be honest, for me to change my mind with this Rangers team and to take them seriously to potentially win this league title, they've got to win on Sunday for me. I know a lot of folk will say even if we got a point at Tynecastle, it's no a disaster in terms of where we are in the league. Even if Celtic beat Aberdeen, I know they would stretch ahead of us, but we wouldn't be out of it completely. But psychologically, we've got to win on Sunday to show anything for me in terms of we want to win this league title. You've got to go to Tynecastle. You've got to win these big games. And as you say, this will be Danny Rowe's biggest test, going to Tynecastle. A lot of folk have said Hearts will have a wobble, and they have had a wobble. They did drop points, but they have came back. I don't think a lot of folk would have thought Hearts would go to Parkhead. After beating Celtic convincingly at Tynecastle, would go to Parkhead and beat Celtic the way they did, and followed it up with a 2-0 win away at Falkirk. And we all know Falkirk are a bit of a thorn this side this season in terms of us. We've dropped points to them twice, but Sunday's massive, Scotia. It's huge in terms of this title race. There's a 9 points difference between us and Hearts at the moment. If we win, it goes down to 6. We've got a game in hand. If we win the game in hand, it's all hypothetical. It goes down to 3. What's your thoughts on Sunday, Scotia? Are you in the same camp as me that for Rangers to win this league, they have to win on Sunday?
Yeah, no, I'm totally there, because I've already said on the pod that where we're sitting, we've got 8 draws. That's far too many draws for me for a team to be winning a league championship. So the fact that we're even sitting here in the position where that it could be a possibility, somewhat a wee bit astounding, to be honest. But I certainly think we need to win. We need to start cutting the gap sort of more consistently, rather than hoping for things to go our way other ways. And a draw's really not good enough for me. But yeah. I'm saying that just now, that then obviously that'll all depend. My mood will all change depending on how the game goes on Sunday. You know what it's like. If we come away and we get like a sucker punch into a draw, you'll be raging. But if we give the sucker punch out and get a draw, obviously it's a slightly different feeling. But I do think if we have any aspirations of winning the league, we do need to get the 3 points on Sunday. And I think what it does as well is you win on Sunday, it just breeds confidence for the other games that we've got coming up.
Especially 2 games at Ibrox as well. And I know that's not a given, but I agree.
That winning Sunday and then the 2 games at Ibrox coming up, the crowd, because for me that's always one of the biggest things, particularly with the teams that we've had over the last maybe 4 or 5 years, is that sometimes I don't think they can play at Ibrox. I think sometimes they crumble a wee bit under the pressure of fans, because you know what it's like at Ibrox. The people are on at them from the get-go. You know, one slightly poor pass, a pass slightly behind the player, then he's rubbish. You know, and the crowd are on him. So I think get a win, and it leads to that confidence for the other games we've got.
Yeah, Ross, what's your thoughts for Sunday? I mean, I know Hearts will come out all guns blazing the first 10 minutes, and I hope we're not bloody rabbits in headlights for the first 10 minutes, especially with potentially the back line we may have. But I'd love Rangers to go and take it to Hearts. But we've been there before at Tynecastle. Like I say, it'll be 100 mile an hour for the first 10. As long as Rangers can keep it tight, I think, for the first 20 minutes, keep them at bay, and we can work our way into the game, I think we could get joy. But what's your thoughts on Sunday? And do you agree with me and Scotia in terms of Rangers have to win on Sunday to have any chances of winning this league title?
As things stand, yeah, I think there's no chance you can pass up the opportunity just now by dropping points. There needs to be 3 points, 100% for me. In terms of the game itself, yeah, I think it's going to be as one for Sky Sports, put it that way. I don't know, is it on Sky Sports on Sunday?
It's on Sky, yeah, half one.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a reason behind that. That will be full guns blazing. As you say, that first 20 minutes, it'll be the crowd will be up for it. Obviously, the away allocation at Tynecastle isn't as glamorous, shall we say, as other away grounds, but I'm sure the Rangers fans will be there in their numbers. But I'm very, very looking forward to it. It's just that first goal, I think, for me, it's the old saying, but first goal is absolutely crucial. If we can go there and get that early lead, then it puts us in good stead. If we concede, I don't know how it will turn out, to be honest. Generally, I can't quite predict it. I think as much as, yes, the performances in the league have been a lot better, I still can't quite predict what's going to happen. So I do think that first goal, just get that momentum, set it early, and then kind of work the game from there. Need a good bit of flair. That's all I'm asking for. A wee bit of flair. I think it's, a lot of the times we've seen Rangers, two-dimensional. Not as much kind of dynamism you'd hope for. You need a Mikey Moore in there. You need a Gassama to be on it. I think one guy's in the comments, rightly so, Finlay Curtis, just players who can, tin openers that whenever the chances do come, they can take the chances. And also, your man up front needs to be scored goals. You've got the one guy there on the other side of the pitch in Shankland, but if one chance comes to him, he's going to take it. We need something like that on Sunday, because these chances will not come very much. So whenever they come, you need somebody there to score it. I just hope Miovski does make it fit, because he's the one guy who I'd start. Because if it is Danilo or Trimiti, I have no idea, honestly, no idea how the game will end in terms of it scoring for Rangers. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a bit of a restless night on Saturday, I'm sure. But it's good to have that buzz, because it means that there's something to be excited about again. And yes, half past 1 on Sunday. We shall be well more than up for it.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It's good to be in a title challenge, for Christ's sake, after the start we've had to the season. But they've got to be up for it, Rangers. They have to be, because Hearts, like I say, will come out. Hearts are dangerous with Shankland, the boy Braga they've brought in as well, score goals. They've been really good for Hearts this season. We've got to find, as you say, Ross, there's got to be guys that have got to stand up and show a bit of creativity for us, because we struggle to score goals. Miovski would be a big one if he's available. No, he's been great, but he's come on to a bit of form recently, and it's bloody sod's law that when he comes on to a bit of form, he gets bloody injured. So it would be good to see Miovski leading the line, and I agree with you. The two guys you mentioned, Mikey Moore's a big one for me. He can unlock doors for us. I think he'll be massive on Sunday. And Gassama, who's been hot and cold all season, needs to be hot on Sunday for us. He really does. So on the back of that, Scotia, what is your team for Sunday, your score and first goal scorer? Scotia went.
Sorry, my signal went there.
As he's there.
It was lasting for near the hour and then it kicked in. Yes, no. So I'm going for Scotland, Sterling, Fernandez, and Enciala as a back three. Tav and Magoma as your wing backs. And the reason I'm playing Tav, I know Tav's been a bit poor recently, but I said to you on Monday night, Ali, I think Tav gives you far more energy. even if he's playing poorly, than Aaron's does. For me, Aaron's is just, he slows things down too much for me. Like I say, I don't think he's not playing the position we need him to, or playing the way we need him to play in that position, should I say. Barron and Raskin in midfield with Diamande. I think he'll play Diamande as well. I think he'll have 3 midfielders. Chermite, Moore, and Gassama. I think that'll be the team that he'll play. And goal 1-0 Rangers. I'll take 1-0. 1-0 from now until the end of January. 1-0 Rangers to have to score a penalty. It'll be a boring game. I'm hoping it'll be a boring game and we win 1-0. That's what I want.
And before I come into Ross for his team and score, etc., that's the exact same team I've got written down here, Scotia. I've went with the same. I've went with Tav as well, because as poor as he's been, Tav, he's been to Tynecastle, he's been there and done it, if you know what I mean. I agree with you. I think he's a bigger threat playing there than Aaron's. Aaron's, for me, he's been a lot better, but he just doesn't really offer much for me. I would like to see Miovski if he's fit over Chermite, but I wouldn't be shocked if Chermite leads the line.
Did you not say?
No, he says he's a doubt. He's a doubt.
Oh, all right, okay.
Lyle Cameron was out. So I've got the two, Chermite or Miovski. If Miovski's fit, I think he'll play him. And I agree. Mikey Moore for me is a probably one of our first picks. He's got to play. Conor Barron is another player that probably has to play in terms of energy in the middle of the park. And Gassama played him on the left-hand side. I know a lot of folks saying about young Finlay Curtis, but he started against Hibs, and I'll be honest, I thought he was poor against Hibs. I think Finlay Curtis at this present point is a very good option to bring off the bench, maybe the last 20 minutes. I think that's where he's at the moment.
That's for me, Ali, sorry, that's where I was coming from as well, because I've not been impressed with Gassama recently, and I would be taking that money from Spain if it is, if there's any truth in it, if I'm being honest. But I think, like you were just about to say there, Curtis probably gives you a better option later on in the game than coming off the bench.
Yeah, that's why I'm playing Gassama, and he's got to be on his game on Sunday. Gassama, we need 8s and 9s across the board. Everyone's got to be in their game on Sunday for us to get a result. And I'm going to go. I think Hearts will score, Scotia. I'll go 2-1 Rangers. Mikey Moore to score. But I don't really get a monkeys how we win the game. Just win the game, Rangers. Ross, you've normally got a wee curveball in your team, but what's your team, your score and first goal scorer?
So I'm going for a back four actually. I've contemplated between the back three and the back four, but I went for a back four. I'm going Butland, Tav, Fernandez, Sterling, Magoma. Your midfield three, I'm going Raskin, Barron, and I'm playing Mikey Moore in the 10. I think generally, from what I've seen of Mikey Moore, when he plays in the centre, that's where I think he's most creative. It's where he's most effective. You look at that goal against Kilmarnock, he picks up the middle of the park, and you can see what he can do from that position. So I'm playing him in that number 10. Your front three, I'm going Gassama on the left. I'm going to start Curtis on the right, just for that, as I say, that wee bit of, I guess, unpredictability with him, when he's potentially crossing that ball in, just something that offers a wee bit differently. And if he's fit, I'd be starting Miovski, but then in terms of the other two, it's just a case of pick the name out the hats. Which one would you like? I definitely am going for Miovski if he's there. If Miovski is, can you get a half out of him? Can you get the first half out of Miovski so that when that chance does come in the first half, you score it instead of potentially missing it? With all due respect to Chimit and Danilo, you have to look at the form that Miovski's on just now and back him to score any chance that comes his way. So that's what I would be going for with my starting 11. I'm going to go for 3-1 Rangers. I'm going to go an optimistic 3-1 with, Fernandez again. He loves a header, absolutely loves a bullet header. So I'm gonna back him to be the first goal scorer. And yes, absolutely buzzing for it, honestly. And more that the battle fever is well and truly on.
I'll definitely take that, Ross, if it's 3-1. I would love that on Sunday. But yes, we have got to the final hour of the show. We've ended on a bit of positivity there as well in terms of the score lines that the guys have picked for it. But yeah, before I leave, so there are very limited tickets left for the live show at the Viceroy on Saturday the 17th. As I said before, we had to change it from the 16th because, as usual, Rangers get drawn on a bloody Friday night against Annan, so we had to move our live show to the Saturday. So, as I said, there's limited tickets. The Viceroy is a very small pub, an intimate pub, if you want to say. So, yes, there's a small amount of tickets left. So, if you've not got them, I advise maybe get them before they do sell out for that night. But last but not least, I would like to thank my two guests who have come on tonight. First of all, Scotia, thanks very much for tonight, Scotia. And I don't think you'll be back on the podcast till after Christmas, will you?
I don't know. Probably not. I probably won't be. If we're doing a club deck corner and next week, I'm probably too busy with other stuff. So yeah, this might be it all. So yes, Merry Christmas to everyone when it comes. Hope you have a good day with the families and whatnot. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I basically just came on tonight so that I could find out the team news for the weekend because, as I say, I've not looked at anything this week really. But no, thank you guys and thank you listeners.
I think your Wi-Fi was lagging there as well, Scotia. I'm not sure if it was either mine or it was yours that was lagging. Maybe Ross will tell us in terms of that. But
I think it was yours this time, Ali, because I could see Ross moving about.
I think it was Ali, unfortunately, mate. I think it was your good self.
Was it? It's a shocker there. But no, no, as you say, Scotia, I hope everyone has a good Christmas. If we're not, I know what we've got the post-match we'll do after the Hearts game, which I think will be me and Mr. Carney. I think we're watching the Viceroy. I think Mr. Haymarch is maybe coming as well. So we are watching it there. So we'll be back with a post-match then. So yes, Ross, thanks very much for coming on. And yes, I hope your team wins on Sunday.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Hope everyone's team does win. Listen, big game on Sunday. I didn't expect us to be in this position before Christmas. So I think just enjoy it while it lasts. Should we get away with the win, then please celebrate it as we should, because there's some exciting times come ahead should things go away. So just play up the famous Glasgow Rangers. As Ali says, hope your team wins on Sunday. And yes, we shall speak to you after the game.
Yes, we will. Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, Ross. It's over to Rangers on Sunday. If they want to be serious in terms of doing anything in this league this season, for me, as Scotia and Ross have said too as well tonight, they have to win on Sunday. If they want to be taken serious, they have to go to Tynecastle and win. And that's how you win league titles, going to grounds like Tynecastle, Parkhead, Pittodrie, etc. That's where you win league titles. And for me, it's Danny Rohl's biggest test as a Rangers manager on Sunday. And I hope he passes it, and I hope you see some smiling faces on Sunday in the post-match. But yes, thanks very much for everyone in the comments tonight. Thanks very much for my two guests tonight. We are being Club at 22, the Rangers podcast, and we'll be back on Sunday with a match reaction. Good night.